And so the ongoing debate about overtaking cyclists continues, only this particular version of the argument has taken a bit of a turn, no pun intended. In this particular version of the argument, the debate between Rule 72 as against Rule 163 has been brought about for me to comment on. Stay tuned. So, taking a look at these rules in the Highway Code, there is a debate over whether or not cyclists should allow vehicles to overtake, or whether the vehicles are, as a priority, supposed to allow enough space whilst overtaking. The subtle distinction is made in Rule 72, which provides that in the second part of this, where when riding on busy roads with vehicles moving faster than you, allow them to overtake you where it is safe to do so, whilst keeping at least half a metre away or further away if it's safer from the curb edge, remembering that traffic on most dual carriageways moves quickly. Take care crossing slip roads. Now, the first part of that rule is obviously the broad position about road positioning. When riding on the roads, there are two basic road positions. Now, this is one thing that a lot of drivers misunderstand, in that there are these two basic riding positions for cyclists. First of all, riding in the centre of the lane to make yourself as visible as possible in the following situations: on quiet roads or streets. If a faster vehicle comes up behind you, move over to the left to enable them to overtake if you can do so safely. So this is providing some sort of guidance for cyclists to essentially get out of the way. But that's being taken to some extent in Twitter arguments, so I'll come back to that in a moment. Secondly, in slow-moving traffic, when traffic around you starts to flow more freely, move over to the left if you can do so safely, so that faster vehicles behind you can overtake. And at the approach to junctions or road narrowings where it will be unsafe for drivers to overtake you. So this is guidance for cyclists where it would be absolutely unsafe for a driver to overtake you. The cyclist really ought to move out of the way. Now, the second part of this, as I said, is the real crux of this part, which is riding on busy roads. So if the road is busy and vehicles are moving faster than you, allow them to overtake where it is safe to do so. It doesn't say always. It doesn't say if you're overtaking some cars that are parked on the left-hand side, you should just suddenly stop and allow the vehicles to go past you. That's not what it says. It says that you should move over to allow them to overtake where it is safe to do so, whilst keeping at least half a metre away from the curb. Now, this is obviously taken against Rule 163, which is for vehicles to only overtake when it is safe and legal to do so. You should not get too close to the vehicle, etc., etc. And this, when we come down here, this is now addressing all of that first chunk to motorcyclists and cyclists and horse riders and horse-drawn vehicles and so on. Leave them as much room as possible, as much room as you would when overtaking a car. As a guide, now this is the bit that's brought up in contention in the Twitter arguments, as a guide, leave at least 1.5 meters when overtaking cyclists at speed of up to 30 miles an hour. Now, the comment that I saw on Twitter said, if cyclists don't obey this rule, then we're not going to obey this rule. Well, that obviously isn't conducive to a safe use of the roads, in my view, respectfully. So cyclists should, where safe to do so, allow vehicles to overtake, but if vehicles are overtaking, they should leave them as much space as they would a car, and at least 1.5 meters when overtaking cyclists of speed of up to 30 miles an hour. So these are not mutually exclusive. You cannot, I hope it goes without saying, use one bat off against the other and say that because a cyclist didn't allow the vehicle to overtake by stopping and moving over, that the vehicle can ignore this rule. That is not what it says. That's not what it means. And that's just not how it works. So if you are a vehicle and you are a driver, as most of us are, not all of us, but a lot of us are, and you see this debate and argument and going around, and then you are led to this bit of this rule, which says it's a guide to leave at least 1.5 meters up to 30 miles an hour and at least 2 meters of space and keep a low speed when passing the pedestrians walking in the road, and so on and so on. These, whilst it says as a guide for the distance to leave, And whilst there isn't a must not part of this rule, what I can tell you is this: if you were to collide with that cyclist as a driver when you're overtaking, irrespective of whether the cyclist has complied with this bit or not and allowed you to overtake if it were safe to do so and so on, if you collide with the cyclist and you have not left enough room here, as it suggests as a guide, even if these are guidance, and you end up in court for causing an injury, this is going to be used against you. It is the first thing any barrister against you is going to raise, that you did not comply with Rule 163. And if there is any kind of footage of it, which there usually is, because most cyclists have got footage these days, and even if it's just eyewitnesses, even if it's just a single eyewitness that saw what happened and said, yes, I saw the cyclist was still moving, the car was moving from behind, car collided with the cyclist, the car is going to be at fault. There may, in some situations, be a contributory negligence on the part of the cyclist if the cyclist is weaving all over the road and being dangerous and not riding properly. But as the more dangerous road user in a vehicle, you are going to be held to a much higher standard, and you are going to be required to provide a higher duty of care to this cyclist. So I hope that helps to address this situation, because I don't want to come across the situation where drivers are thinking that because cyclists are not complying with one rule, that you can therefore not have to comply with another rule. But on a much lighter note, many of you know that I was away just recently and forgot my back support, which I carry around with me. So I was looking around, I commented on a few videos, and I found a company who was kind enough to send me one of these, which is actually a pillow, but I'm using it as a back support. So in thanks to them for sending it to me, I'm showing you a short clip of it just here. So this is from FlexTail, and not only is it a pillow, but it is this tiny little pump device which doubles as a light. It's got a little thing that you can hang it on, and this light has got 2 or 3 settings, and it can go up to 20-something hours on the lowest setting. Great for camping. This pillow that you just saw fits into this tiny little packet here. There's lots of different device connections for this pump, and you can see here, just in a matter of seconds, that it inflates this pillow. And I intend to be using this ongoing, actually, for my chair here. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. The links are in the description below. Check that out. Thanks for watching. See you next time.